Hi viewers, Jason from Mr. Real Estate Rockhampton. Thanks for joining us today from Mr. Real Estate headquarters in our new newsroom. We discuss different topics about how the real estate market is panning out, what happens during the course of a sale, who has different roles in contracts and so forth. And there's been something that has come up time and time again, and it's basically our role is we list the property as a real estate agent. We talk to the seller, we work out from the seller's side of the fence what they want to list the property for. We do a thing called a CMA, which is a comparison of properties around the area to make sure we're not too expensive, we're not too low, and then we go to market and see how we fare. So quite often we get the property listed, we do our marketing, we work out a bit of a game plan, we give the buyer feedback, and we give the seller feedback. Quite often the buyers want to buy down here, quite often the sellers want up here. Our role is to probably get a mark in the middle somewhere where both parties can move on, be happy with the outcome. But quite often we find in our life that we'll sell a property and we might say the property's $250,000 and the buyer is happy to pay the $250,000, and then the buyer selects a solicitor and then the seller selects a solicitor, and then we go through a course of events. It's usually finance, that's 14 days, perhaps 21 days. Then you'll have building and pest, and then you'll have solicitors. This is just one solicitor that is part of a wide range of solicitors here in Rockhampton, but they are happy to pay the $250,000 for the property. They'll get a building inspector in. The building inspectors, this is a very touchy subject because the building inspectors are not regulated with anyone. The building inspectors go there and with their own experience and what they've seen over the course of years that they've been in their jobs, they can have an opinion on the property. They can say the property is in good shape. They usually have a little radar. It's like a little moon-shaped device, and I've never seen a property come in above average. So even though it's been through a giant cyclone, they still say the property is average, and they pick on little things like rusty roof screws and wear and tear. Termites are a big one if the property hasn't been treated for some time. So the rules that were back in place in 1970 and 1980 doesn't necessarily apply now in 2020. Like, you're never going to get an E.H. Holden 63, 64 model that has ABS brakes, cruise control. So it's a very touchy subject. So the buyers go away, they look at these building reports, and quite often they come back saying they're unsatisfactory. Well, unsatisfactory to who? The present owner thinks the property is in great shape. The building inspectors have a little bit of a comment on the property, and then all of a sudden the buyer's thinking, hey, we should get some money off. Who decides this? Good question. So basically, the one buyer has one solicitor, the seller has the other solicitor, and quite often the agents will do the negotiating to try and come to a happy medium. But in some cases, the solicitor for the buyer, they decide to become the negotiation experts. Well, I'll tell you something about how solicitors work. Solicitors don't work for the sellers, they only work in the best interest of their buyers. So, and the best interest of a buyer is determined by the solicitor. So basically in our world, if we've got 20 people lined up to buy that property, and then the buyer is going, we want 10 grand off, well, sometimes they stop talking to us. And the seller goes, well, we're not taking 10 grand off. We might give them $1,000 off for a goodwill gesture, because we've sold the property already at what they think is a deflated rate. So it gets very confusing in the world of negotiating. But when solicitors become negotiators, it gets really untidy, because solicitors are actually working on the best interest of their buyer. But sometimes they don't realise there's 10 or 20 other people waiting over this side of the fence ready to buy the property. So if you're a seller, you know, we do the best we can to get you the right price out there. If you're a buyer, well, guess what? Talk to your agent. He's the one that does the negotiating. He's the one that can get you the best deal. He's the one that can talk to the seller and determine whether the seller wants to sell it or not the solicitor. The solicitor crosses a very, very fine line, I believe, because they don't know the full facts. They only know half the story. They only know from contract date on. The agent knows the full story from the seller's side to the buyer's side. So if that's a little bit of an insight into how it works after you put a contract on a property, I hope this has been a lesson for most people out there. But I've been through, 1,900 of these sales, and I can tell you I've seen some sales that have gone horribly wrong because the solicitor is trying to negotiate on the buyer's behalf when they don't even know the story on the other side of the fence. Oh, sorry. So basically, I would suggest anyone that's buying, tread lightly, talk to your agent, make sure your agent is fully aware of what you're trying to achieve, and quite often it'll end up in a sale. So don't miss out on a sale for the fact of $5,000 or $10,000 if it's the house you want. Just get in and if it feels good, if you love it, if it suits your family, if it's achievable for you, if it's in the right price bracket, if you can afford it, which is a big part of today's buying. Buy the thing. A lot of the times, it's only little minor issues that stop buyers from buying. So there's a little bit of information from Mr. Real Estate Headquarters right here in our newsroom. If you want to catch up with any of us, you know where to find us. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining in another info session today at Mr. Real Estate Headquarters. Bye for now.